Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to discuss two things: the QuinLED-Dig-Quad pre-assembled and WLED multi-channel output is more available than we thought. Okay, let's talk about the QuinLED-Dig-Quad pre-assembled first. So the Dig-Quad has been out for about 2 months now, and I think 2 weeks ago I did a video about how you can assemble one yourself. And if we take a look at my desk, I have some of those. We all know the QuinLED-Dig-Uno, which well, a lot of you guys are using nowadays. And the kind of bigger brother than that, it's not really meant to replace the Dig-Uno in any way. The Dig-Quad has a lot more of the same thing. Very shortly, instead of a single LED output, it has 4 LED channel outputs, so you can do multi-channel in the future, or now, but more about that in a minute. And it has a lot higher power handling, so it has more input terminals. It has a dedicated 5V EXT terminal if you want to use 2 power supplies with a relay, so you can shut that big LED power supply off when the LEDs are off, saving some power. And then it has lots of power output terminals. So doing power injection to your LEDs has become a lot easier because you can just screw it into the board instead of having to rely on all kinds of external solutions. Having it all on the board, so power distribution and fusing, makes it a lot easier to do medium to large size projects. So if you just want to hook up 1, maybe 2 LED strips, QuinLED-Dig-Uno is still fine. But if you want to hook 2, 3, especially 60 LEDs per meter, you're going to need to look into some power injection wiring and stuff like that. The Dig-Quad is, in my opinion, but I'm kind of biased, a lifesaver. So, as I mentioned, these are all pre-assembled these are not all pre-assembled versions. These are all DIY versions, but if you look at the design of the boards, you can see, well, you can see some similarities there. The Dig-Quad was very much based on the Dig-Uno and expanded on it, as I said, and I made some changes because it had more room on the board. But if you could solder a Dig-Uno, you can certainly solder a Dig-Quad. But, well, if you do a DIY, I used a different connector style here, so you can have these pluggable style connectors, which makes wiring a little bit easier. They have less power handling, so that's a downside. But enough about the DIY version. We all know that's available now. Let's take a look at the QuinLED-Dig-Quad pre-assembled. Oh, and actually, this one was an SMD testing board because the Dig-Quad pre-assembled is slightly different than the Dig-Quad DIY. And that's basically these level shifters you see here. This is an through-hole variant, making soldering easier. And this is an SMD variant, making it easier for machines. Because, well, we have machines build our LED controls, of course. So, this is a little package from AllNet China. The Dig-Quad, like the Dig-Uno, will be sold worldwide using the AllNet China store. And then we will have local stock through Dr. Z's again, and he's a fellow YouTuber who will keep stock for the US and Canada. So you can get it quicker and cheaper shipping costs and stuff like that. Okay, so you get it in a little box. If you get it from the worldwide store, Dr. Z sometimes does his own thing. And, well, the board mostly looks the same. There's not much difference that you can see. It comes with 5x 5 amp fuses, because if you're doing power injection, 5 amp is a good value for most power injection lines, but you can easily replace these with the fuses you need in your setup. And as I said, the only other real difference you'll see or notice is that, trying to get rid of the glare, is that this has the SMD level shifters and this one has a through-hole level shifter. But the functionality of the boards is 100% the same. So you get 5V, 12V functionality, as I mentioned, 5V EXT if you want to. There's 1 jumper now, not 2 like on the Dig-Uno. which can set 5 volt, 12 volt, or 5 volt EXT. Make sure to remember incoming voltage is the same as outgoing voltage. So if you have 12 volt LEDs, set the board to 12 volt, get 12 volt into the board, and then 12 volt to your LEDs. So other things on the board, it has the temperature sensor included, the 5 volt, 12 volt functionality included. It has lots of GPIO pins, including an audio pin if you want to hook up a microphone. Cool stuff. As I said, they are available now from both the Worldwide store and the Dr. Z store. We've been doing basically a Discord pre-sale for the last week. So Dr. Z's is already running low on stock. And worldwide, we still have enough available. But if you want to get one, if you have questions about the board and stuff like that, you can either ask me down in the comments or on Discord, where I'm always at. Right. Enough about that board. Let's talk WLED multi-channel output. So initially, when I released these boards, multi-channel output in WLED wasn't a thing. You saw in the background in some of my videos running some effects, but that was using some custom code and fast LED directly. Not really user-friendly. And you could do some stuff with ESP Home and things like that. But, of course, we all know and love WLED. So we want multi-channel output for WLED. Well, I talked to AirCookie, the developer of WLED, and it's certainly on the roadmap. But initially, that was slated for November. It still is, actually. And so we'd have to wait for that. But then some other folks were working on basically a mod for WLED, which would enable multi-channel output. And, well, I did a live stream last week, I think, with Dr. Z's, and we checked it out, and it's actually very good. As you can see running in the background, that is a QuinLED-Dig-Quad running 4 individual effects on 4 output channels. Now, there are some caveats to this mod. It's not perfect yet. For instance, you only get a single preset slot, and you have to enter the number of LEDs you want per data pin or output channel during a compile, so you have to build your own WLED. Nowadays, that's pretty easy with Visual Studio Code and Platform I/O, but still, I know a lot of you don't want to do that. So we thought of a way to do this. I wrote a special article, I'll have it linked in the description, to basically tell you how the mod works and how you can use it without having to compile your own binary. I have a pre-compiled binary that you can download there. Now, that has some caveats, but I think we can work with that until November when the official multi-channel support is released. As I mentioned, normally you'd set the amount of LEDs you have per port connected while compiling the firmware. Then, when you start WLED, you enter the total amount of LEDs, and this mod will disperse that giant string internally over the output channels like you set it during compile. So let's say you have 72 on the first channel, 300 on the second channel, 300 on the next channel, and then 200 on the other channel. You add that all up, and it acts like a giant LED strip. So if you do an effect that goes from left to right, basically, since it thinks it's an internally one large LED strip, it'll go output channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that works. And we actually, in the live stream, did a little test case where we'd use X lights with E131, and then we'd map the pixel regions to the X lights lines, basically, and that way we could divide it. Well, that's also the way the pre-compiled firmware works. If you want to do separate effects on each output channel, you can do that using the pretty powerful segment feature that's in WLED. Because of that segment feature, I created a pre-compiled binary which has all outputs set to 300 LEDs. So when you flash that in your LED preferences, set it to 1200 LEDs in total. Then you create 4 segments, and in those segments you tell it how many LEDs you actually have connected per data output pin, or basically per output channel. So again, if we say 74, you set segment 1 to 74, and then segment 0, and then you set segment 1 to the 300, and segment 2 to 300 and segment 3 to 200, or whatever the case that's connected. And then you can do really cool stuff. As I said, you can run effects that go over all of the LED strips you have connected, but with the segments, you can make all the ports do the same. Or use them as individual LED strips and set effects and brightness and stuff like that individually per segment, and with that per output channel. Now, as I mentioned, this is a mod. It currently doesn't work for RGBW, and if you use the 300 LED binary we pre-compiled, you can't really use the brightness limiter. If you compile yourself and set the correct amount of LEDs, you can. So there are some caveats to that right now. But we suspect most of those will be solved in the official multi-channel output that's coming in November. And well, AirCookie has one of my dig quads to develop on, so hopefully that helps out and we can see some better functionality support in November. But that is basically what I wanted to say. The QuinLED-Dig-Quad pre-assembled is available now. We did a week-long Discord pre-sale, so US is actually running low. We still have a good amount of stock in worldwide. So if your US runs out, you can still pick it up there. And WLED modded firmware from Multi-Channel is available now and works pretty well. I'm actually quite happy with it, and more functionality is going to come in the future. Now, if you have any questions about the board or some projects, let me know down in the comments or join the Discord server if you want to have a discussion about it. And I hope to see you guys there or in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.